Hey everyone, Bren here. In this week's video I'm going to do a harvest of a very popular summer veg, plus I'll give you an update on the container garden, and as well as that I'll show you the damage that one of my most dreaded summer pests has done to some of my capsicums and chilies. So please just sit back and relax for a few minutes and let's get into it now. We're going to start off today over in this area where we have some crunchy, juicy summer fruit, but we treat them more like a veg, ready to harvest. Before I go rooting around in there, I'm just going to give the place a bit of a stomp to let any snakes know that I'm here. Nothing has slithered out, so I think it's safe enough to get stuck in. We've got cucumbers. There's a larger one in this spot, so I think I might pick the one that you see here. Now this variety is called Lebanese cucumber and it doesn't look like it wants to come out. There we go. I wonder if I can just kind of gently just pop it off. I usually have my secateurs or scissors to harvest these, but I don't have either of them with me today. See that lighter green colour? That's where the cucumber has been resting on the ground. Let's snap this one open and take a look inside. Oh, gorgeous, so refreshing. I've just taken a bite and I'm telling you, it's just what I need on a hot, humid day like today. And listen to the crunch. Now, before I go eating it all, I wanted to point out that you can see there's lots of seeds in there. But for any new gardeners who are looking to get into seed saving, I would not recommend that you save the seeds at this stage from your cucumbers because they're not mature enough yet. They're so tiny. But here's a video I made last year of when and how I save my cucumber seeds. I believe the best stage to save your cucumber seeds is when you leave the cucumber fruit on the plant to enlarge and turn to this yellow-orange colour. At this point, the cucumber fruit is ripened. It contains mature seeds which are ready to ferment for saving. So for the moment, I'm not going to bother with any kind of seed saving. I'm going to allow these plants to continue to grow, produce more and more cucumbers, and there's actually plenty on the way. You can see all these little baby ones all along the vine, so I'll wait for them all to get larger and I'll keep on picking from this little patch. Now, as you can see, I still haven't got around to trellising them up, and now with trellising, that's really great for small space gardeners because it gives you more room to grow on the ground. But the main reason why I should probably be trellising them is that I'll be able to see the fruit very clearly and I'm not poking around in between the vine looking for them and risking potentially a little snake hiding amongst this patch. If we take a closer look here, you can see that cucumber plants actually put out these tendrils. This one seems to be wrapping around one of its flowers. We don't want that to happen. So what they do is they cling on to, say, fences or trellises or even other plants to enable this plant to grow upwards. And by the plant being able to grow upwards, it means it gets a bit more sunlight, more photosynthesis and more production of fruit. I have to say that it's thanks to you guys that I'm eating this cucumber now, because a few weeks back these plants looked miserable, on the brink of just not surviving. But some of you more experienced gardeners in the comments encouraged me to leave them here in the ground. You assured me that they would bounce back and make a recovery, and look at them, they have. And now I'm left with these more mature plants, because I'm sure if I had started from seed again, they wouldn't be at this stage. They would still be quite small. And I'm harvesting cucumbers. It's all so exciting. We're now here at the container garden, which we had a quick look at last week. But I thought for today's video, we'd have more of a closer look at what I'm growing here in this area. All of the pots and containers in this small space garden are resting on these two metal frames which are made up of 3 different levels, so it's a tiered frame and it has worked out quite well. I got these lovely frames from my husband's grandma, who is a wonderful gardener. She actually had a veggie garden up until she was about, I think about 92, and I was fortunate enough to get these. Now she had, I believe it was like potted terracotta pots with lots of succulents growing on these, but I've turned it into this veggie and flower garden. that I'm hoping will attract lots of different pollinators and, cross my fingers, be quite successful. But having said that, I have had a bit of a disaster this week with some of the chilies and capsicums. Like, look what's happened here. I've left it on the plant so that we can take a bit of a closer look. But not only has something nibbled in there, we've also got a bit of an infestation, and I can already tell exactly what that is. That's the fruit flies that have laid their eggs underneath in this fruit. And I bet you now if I peel that open we'll see lots of maggots. So I'm just giving you a warning because I'm going to open it up now to check. So if any of you are a bit squeamish with maggots, just skip ahead maybe 30 seconds. Yeah, there's a maggot there, and there's plenty more inside. That's from the Queensland fruit fly, which are a huge pest here in this area. I really should have put fruit protector bags on these. And the same thing has happened with my bullhorn chilies. They're all in similar condition, and this has literally just appeared during the week. Like, look at it. Oh, what a waste. But it's okay, the plants may still produce some fruit, so let's get rid of this one, and I'll remove these ones too. So we need to discard them to stop the cycle. And look at this, the same thing's happened over here on this one too. It's actually even worse. Oh, I'm not opening that one up. I'm just going to put it straight in the bag in the bin because I don't want to see what's in there. Just shows you though, no matter what size garden you have, you still seem to attract the pests. Well, I do, because I've spotted another one over here, the 28 spotted ladybug, which is not a good one to have here. She's on this eggplant, and then I have more of those beetles. I saw one a second ago. They're the culprits to all of these holes on the foliage. Oh, but you know, having a small space garden, you can keep a better eye on things because it's less of an area. So if you come out every day, have a good look, check the plants, check the back of the foliage, see if you notice any discoloration or holes or anything just a bit odd happening, then you can investigate it and hopefully resolve the issue. So I need to get rid of that 28 spotted lady beetle, but this is a success so far. Here's one of my chili plants which needs to be staked up, but look at all the fruit on it. I've grown this one before. It's called Agi Yellow, and I'm not really sure why, but the fruit flies seem to leave smaller fruit alone. And I'm not just talking about chilies, I've also noticed it with tomato plants too. Like over here, for example, I have a smaller variety of tomatoes, and I don't need to worry about bagging these up because I know those little pests will not try and inject these with any eggs. There are so many tomatoes on this one plant, some beautiful big trusses of them, and I can't find the label, so I'm not sure what the variety name is. But if I take a look in here, I'm going to just pick it anyway, even though it's not quite ready. I've noticed that it's starting to ripen to a yellow colour. I must go back and check my notes and try and figure out what this particular one is called. And then also grown in containers, I had some larger tomatoes. This is the plant that we pruned together last week. If you want to know how to prune a tomato plant, well, it's the way I do it. It's not the way everyone does it, and I'm not an expert, but if you would like a few tips, you can go back and check that video. So I definitely going to put some fruit protector bags on these. I'm so pleased with this container of basil. It's just your standard sweet basil, and every time I walk by it I just pinch off the tops to try and encourage more lateral growth and bush these out a bit more. Now I could have just put one plant in here and allow that to grow, but what I do with my basil plants, if you take a look down here, is I just plant multiple seedlings together, and because I harvest them so harsh, I find it doesn't seem to get overcrowded and they seem pretty happy in here. I've got maybe, oh, I don't know, I'll have to go and check back on the videos, maybe around 6 or 7 plants in this smallish pot. And then growing in this container, which now I think that is mildew, is it? If I can get some advice from you guys. That does look like mildew. In here I've got another cucumber plant. I can see plenty of flowers. See those lovely yellow flowers? But oh, I was going to say I can't see any fruit yet, but there's one there, still teeny tiny. I do also want to trellis this one up because remember I had mentioned before, if I don't trellis it, it will just take over the area, and it's exactly what's happening here. You can see some of the vine is coming over on top of these petunias and starting to crawl over on top of the basil, and I definitely don't want this to happen because, oh, look at that. The tendril is latching on to this tomato plant. It's going everywhere. I want it to grow up this wall rather than sprawling out along here. The sweet William flowers are coming to an end now, and the great thing about container gardens is that I can just pull this pot out and replace it with something a bit more potted colour. So instead of having to look at these flowers dying off and browning, I can just remove this and keep the area completely fresh. Here's a lovely little bug hotel, or bee hotel I should say. I need to actually mount this up onto the wall and not just leave it resting on top of the pot. I do have a mix of flowers growing in here, like this is a lovely blue purple salvia that attracts a lot of bees. Then growing at the base of the edibles, I have some lovely marigolds. This is a beautiful vibrant orange one. There's also some orange zinnias. Can't you tell I like orange? These are some celosia. Lots of petunias. They handle the heat really well and they grow great in containers. And there's the lavender, which again attracts pollinators, but I grow it here because it reminds me of my childhood. I just love the smell of it. Before I head off today, I did want to show you these gorgeous blooms from the crepe myrtle. A lot of gardens in my area grow this particular tree because they're so drought tolerant, and I've noticed that some years are better than others, and this year seems to be a great year for them. I had to pull that branch down because they are quite high up, but it's a lovely view looking out towards the garden when you see these in bloom. And I do have another one that's still quite small. Here it is. It's more of a hot pink colour. It's been in the ground now for about 3 years. It's still trying to establish itself. Hopefully in the next few years it will put on a bit of a growth spurt. For the moment it's just putting out a few blooms, not as many as the giant tree I just showed you, but it's always so nice to see them in flower. Well, that's about it for this week, everyone. But before I head off, I just wanted to show you the bouquets that I put together and I dropped off at Tarmore Garden Centre this morning. And the good news is that all the arrangements sold out last week, which I'm pretty chuffed about. Now, it looks like it's going to rain, so I better head inside. But one last thing to say to you, I hope you all have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you again in 2024.